Buffs Nation, what is going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We got a lot to talk about, as always, with my man, Bird's Eye View in
Uh,
here. How's it going?
all is well, man. Can't complain, man. Always appreciate you for having me on, man. Looking forward to it. How are you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully this next year we can catch a game together. I think that would be a lot of fun. You know what? I think it would be cool, man, for all of us to meet up for the Central Florida game down in
I'm with,
Florida. I think that would be a lot of fun.
yeah, I'm with that for sure. That'll be dope.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get putting something together. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But y'all let us know who's watching the comments and hit that like as always. But we got a lot to talk about. Whether it's with Coach Prime, with recruiting, with looking back at last game. But let's go ahead and start off with probably the most recent news. We got Coach Prime in his weekly presser saying, "Man, he's not even thinking about Texas A&M." What did you think about all of that? And yeah, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm glad he shut it down. I didn't think it was a shot, honestly, that he would go to Texas A&M. I mean, first of all, what is Shredder and Travis going to do? I mean, they would have to sit out if they followed him. So, I mean, I didn't think it was a shot. Like, it didn't make sense. This is one of those situations where people are like searching for clicks. Like, this was a reach. This is a strong reach right here. Of course, he has the ties to Texas, so everyone, some people in Texas that may want to see it, but I didn't think it was a shot that he would even go to A&M.
Nah, I don't think so either. I did think that this was pretty funny. I just had a friend text me. This is kind of off topic, but I guess Chadwell, the Liberty coach,
Yeah.
he sent out a tweet about Liberty football today, but he didn't turn his location off, and that man's in Starkville, Mississippi, probably interviewing for that Mississippi State job.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. You have to be more careful.
Man, I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah, we'll see what A&M does. Again, could never see Coach Prime and Bucky being on the field for a midnight yell, but could you see Dabo Sweeney out there, wearing the overalls with the A&M logo on his butt?
That's a
Possibly.
that's a possibility. Now I know he's mentioned that he's Clemson through and through, and that he's focused. He's saying all the right things, all the political things, but you never know. You never know. They got the money to kind of get a coach that they really want to get, so they could possibly reach out.
Yeah, it's gonna be entertaining, just to see how this whole thing unfolds. That's for sure.
For sure.
Going to be really interesting to see what happens with A&M, what happens with Mississippi State. But not only do we have some different coaching positions opening and changing, might have some coaches hopping in the portal. We got some recruiting news to talk about. I love talking recruiting with you, Bird. Winston Watkins decommits. Let's start there. What were your thoughts? Were you surprised? Were you caught off guard? What did you think about that whole situation right now?
Absolutely. Did catch me off guard a little bit. Not
Mhm.
too surprised, I guess you could say, just because I mean he's a 2025 young man, so he does have time. But I thought that he would be those ones that would never do that, just because he came out with a statement that said as long as Coach Prime is in Colorado, that's where he's going, right? So when I saw it, I'm like, well, he's still there. He hasn't gone anywhere, right? But I understand the process. Being a former college athlete, I understand the process of going through the recruiting process, especially being, at a level in which Winston Watkins is. I mean, enjoy the entire recruiting process, because I mean, it's a lot of coaches that wouldn't even really bother to even give you an official visit, offer an official visit, just because they know you're a Colorado lock in a sense. So I mean, I saw that he put out that he talked it over with his family. He wanted to make sure that he's making the best decision for he and his family, and he want to make sure, of course, that Coach Prime is still going to be there. So I understand it. I still feel like we'll still get him on signing day, but him doing this decommitment is going to allow him to really go through the entire recruitment process, kind of get pampered a little bit, get everybody throw their best shot at him, and I think we ultimately ink him in on signing day.
Yeah, no doubt. I was a little thrown off. I think I was mostly thrown off by, like his justification that he gave. I feel like, man, just be honest. Just be honest that you want to be recruited to the fullest extent you can
Yeah,
be. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this
absolutely.
guy's whole future and career is on the line. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life. If you just come out and say that, no one's going to be mad about that.
Not at all. Not at all. Right there with you.
Yes. So, And I saw Zion throwing this in here, man. People freaking out now because Aaron Butler got offered by Mizzou. Calm down. Well, I mean, Aaron Butler should have an offer from every college. That's kind of how I see that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, he's a stud. So I'm surprised that like you said, he doesn't have offers from all over the country already. Anyway, I think Aaron Butler's one of them ones. So he's a lock. I don't see Aaron Butler. I don't see Aaron Butler decommitting.
Nah. And I see him on the field. Day one, definitely getting some good playing time next year. And again, going to be on here on campus with pretty much all the other commits that we have right now
Yeah.
in January. Another guy that we have slated to be here in January that might be a little bit more up in the air right now is our interior offensive line commit, Talon Chandler. What's your thoughts on him right now?
That one really, really shocked me because he's been heavily recruiting for us, right? I mean, he's been on a recruiting trail. He's been an advocate, reaching out to all of these 5 stars, 4 stars, trying to get them to come to Boulder. Now, I get it. You're a Missouri kid. University of Missouri in-state offers you SEC dream school. You know a lot of guys that are already there. He had a phenomenal visit when he went this past weekend. So I get it. It's tough. It's a part of the game, though. At the end of the day, like this happens to every school in the country, right? It'll be a loss for sure. But of course, he's going to end up doing what's best for him. I did see that he was phoned, which pretty much means it's like a wrap and your recruitment. Steve Wilfong crystal balled him to Missouri. So normally when that happens, that kid commits to that school. But we'll still see. No decommitment yet. He's still committed. So hopefully we still can land him on Silent Day. But Missouri did put on a phenomenal show for him, and they were in his eyes.
Yeah, and they're going in the right direction. I mean, what are they a top 15 ranked program right now? If they're not, they're close to it. I mean, they're having a great year.
Phenomenal.
And Columbia, Missouri. I mean, it's not Boulder, Colorado, but it's definitely a good place to go play college football. And I got to tell you, Bert, I wasn't too surprised hearing this. I was a little bit nervous. I was telling some of the viewers earlier last week, man, I'm a little nervous about his official visit coming up to Missouri because his biggest connection here was with or is with Bill O'Boyle, who
Right.
I think is going to be on his way out. Him and Sean Lewis. I mean, these are guys that they've had. I believe they've had relationship with Talon before they even moved from Kent State to CU. Gotcha. So while we have that uncertainty there right now with OC, with who we're all looking to hopefully see them bring in as the offensive line coach, I can understand there being a little bit uncertainty. I think CU, we got some ground to make up now with that, but you can't really do too much until it's communicated on who's going to be coming in and coaching this O-line. It's going to be interesting to watch.
It is. It really is. And that's going to be a huge hire, right? That may be the biggest hire that Coach Prime gets in this offseason here. Of course, if he has to replace the OC, just depends on the OC, depending on what they do with Pat Shermer. If he does replace him, of course, we've been getting some with rumbles and stuff like that. But the offensive line coach is going to be huge. Hopefully, we can get a guy in there that can really come in and really boost this offensive line so we don't have any struggles next year with it.
Yeah. And I think, some of y'all are bringing it up here in the chat here. Like, this is not a time to panic. You just saw LSU. They got to decommit. When you're in it in college football, so many of us Buffs fans, man, we're not used to this at all. Just being in the recruiting news on a yearly basis. This happens with all the schools. Yep. I'm not tripping. We're going to get some other commits in here, over the next couple months or so. I can't wait to see how the class turns out. And the transfer portal. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. We've been talking about it this whole time, man. Like, I think that this is going to be another year where you see the incoming recruiting class still be very transfer portal heavy.
I think so too. I really strongly believe that. And I mean, those are the guys that already have experience that can come in, plug and play guys can play right away. So, I'm not surprised if we're going to really attack the transfer portal heavy and we be a heavy class with the transfer portal. And like you said, with the LSU kid, I believe it's Kai Bates, the 4-star DB that just decommitted from LSU. He had us in his top 8. So, I mean, he decommitted from LSU. I mean, he's a DB, right? So we always got a shot with a DB. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm right there with you. I believe we're going to be heavy with the transfer portal again.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. think one of y'all said here, K Vizzy said, just Lance Seaton, don't care about the others. Yeah, I mean, I might disagree with some of y'all in the chat. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pat Shurmur also taking over offensive line coach duties, where we've seen the offensive line improve over the last couple. I don't think that's a coincidence, at all. And I think, man, like, let's get Jordan Seaton. Let's get a proven offensive line coach in here, because that's going to be the most important thing in the long run, is making sure that we coach up the talent. I don't want to go too much on a tangent with the coaching, but you
Right.
look at the units that have progressed, which I think most of our units have progressed, throughout the season. I think the defense still playing inconsistent, but overall playing so much better than they played at the beginning of the year. The one unit that you can say has really struggled, and in my opinion has regressed until these last couple of weeks, has been that offensive line.
Yeah.
I would like to see a new coach, new strategy in here. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we've seen a little bit of an improvement with Pat Shurmur stepping in, who has a lot of experience.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think it's a coincidence either. I mean, you look at the matchup that we just had against Arizona. I mean, that may have been the best our offensive line looked all season. I mean, Shador was back maybe 3 times. I mean, we've done some things on the offensive line here just in the recent week that I'm like, I mean, we didn't see that. We haven't really seen that all year. And I really like the way our offensive line plays, especially our tackles. Tank and Savion Washington, they played really well.
Yes.
And I'm right there with you, dog. If we can get Seaton, he's another plug and play guy, and we got the right offensive line coach in there. I mean, I feel like we got the quarterback. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, let's get into talking about the games a little bit. You've already talked a little bit just right now on, some of the things that we saw against Arizona, but overall, what were your overarching thoughts? What positives, negatives, any of that, grades?
For sure, absolutely. As far as I guess we can go grade wise, I mean, Shador was Shador. He's been the pro. He's been who we needed him to be all season. So he's been Mr. Consistent all year. Like I said, with the offensive line, one of the best games we've seen them all year long as a cohesive unit. They communicated really, really well. I feel like on offense, Travis showed up. I believe he had about 5 or 7 catches, like 75 yards. Yeah. So that the run game was still kind of. I mean, we tried. I like that. Times where I've seen us throw the ball in situations where we could have at least tried to hand the ball off. We actually did that. Savion Wilkerson got in the end zone. Mikey Harrison found the end zone again. I like that as well. As far as on the defensive side of the football, I believe Shallow led us in tackles. So, Shallow played well. McNeil has been good for us all season. He's been sneaky good for us on the D-line all season. He had another great game as well. Defensively, I feel like this defense just flies to the football, and I love that without question. Like I said, we've had some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, they play hard. This defense plays hard. It's all 11 men to the football. Of course, on special teams, we were special in the punt game. I know some.
Yes, Bassett killed it, man.
I mean, he's a pro without question. I mean, and you can see his confidence is just rising week to week. He just knows that he's going to put a ball inside the 10. And I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, 4th and 1, why we're not going for it?" But I mean, it paid off when you got your punters is putting the ball inside the 10-yard line, and then we go 3 and out, and we get the ball right back plus territory, and then we drive on the field to score. Right, so. I feel like we played a complete game. Now, of course, Mata missed the kick at the end, which hurt. That hurt. Penalties hurt us. I mean, we've been one of the most penalized teams all year, but we had some costly penalties, man. The holding penalty we had even in the fourth quarter when it was like 3rd and 3, and then they back that up. Then we had a false start. We had a roughing the passer. I mean, it was just costly penalties that just stopped drives when we had momentum. So all in all, of course, it was a game that we should have won. I believe we led that game the entire time. I don't believe Arizona had the lead until to the end of the It's like, I mean, it's tough to go out like that, but I mean, there was a lot of positives that we can take from this game moving forward at Washington State.
Yeah, no doubt. It was kind of a weird feeling game because there was definitely some things that we didn't do well enough to get that win. But like overall, I thought we played a good game. Not a perfect game, but a good game. better than some of the games that we've played in the past. Of course, the penalties, that was really the killer thing. I think that some of our penalties extended 2 of their drives, which ended up both being scoring drives for them. And I thought Coach Prime, he did the right thing with some of these midfield calls. Again, no one would have been saying anything if just Mata makes that field goal, but everything with the game management was set up to make that field goal. It's unfortunate that we had a false start from, I think it was Kareem Harden, set us back another 5 yards to put him right in that dirt patch, which I've been saying. I just did not feel good when I saw him kicking on that right hash mark in the dirt patch. Did not feel good about it, but yeah, and then. I think we did an okay job, on defense. We've had better performances the previous 2 games. Struggled with setting the holding the edge, against the run this past week. But I think with Noah Fafita, we did a really good job of, making sure that when he was passing from within the pocket. He wasn't getting out, he wasn't rolling out, which is what he was really successful at. Right. Previously. So, man, and they just made some good plays. That 6'5" wide receiver, Noah Fafita was not very accurate this past game. And that guy was just making all sorts of crazy catches, snatching balls out of the air. Hats off to Arizona. They made some plays, and they made a few more plays than what we made. And that ended up being the difference, but it's not a loss to, I think, hang your head on or anything like that.
No, not at all. Extremely competitive in that game. And like Giggity said right there, 4th in the nation in penalties. I mean, you're not going to win a lot of football games, man. You're top 5 in the nation in penalties. I mean, self-inflicted wounds just kill you in the game of football. We can clean that up. I feel like we're going to be okay, man.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, man, I'm glad we play on Friday, man. Let's go ahead. I'm not glad that we play at 8:30 Mountain Time. Y'all are going to be up late on the East Coast. Yeah. That's for sure, man. Drink that coffee
for sure
before kickoff. But how are you feeling right now going into Pullman, Washington, in the middle of nowhere, going up against a team that has lost 6 straight games?
Great games, 6 straight games. An opponent that has lost. Yeah, they lost 6 straight games. Started 4-0, of course. Now 4-6. They played some tough ball games, though. I know they played Oregon tough. They beat Oregon State, right? They played UCLA pretty tough as well. Yeah. Stanford, Arizona State. I mean, they had some tough football games here. It's 2 teams that desperately need a win.
Both lost to Stanford, I think. Yeah.
Lost to Stanford. They lost to Stanford like 10-7. That was a ugly game. Yeah. But I mean, they got through Oregon. I mean, Oregon to beat them by like 14. Yeah. I feel like it's one of those situations where, I mean, we're still gonna have to come play a great brand of football to beat them, of course, on the road. But I mean, 2 teams that just desperately need a win. Someone's gonna get a win right now that could possibly help them to get bowl eligible. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a game where we're gonna have to go in there. Like I said, we got to play clean and we got to limit the penalties. If we play a clean football game and limit the penalties, we can. I ain't gonna easily beat this Washington State team, but we should beat this Washington State team. Like it is what it is, right? Like,
yes.
I feel like we should come out of this ball game, a huge success going into the Utah game, trying to get bowl eligible. But I think we get this win this week.
Oh man, I feel it. I thought we were gonna get this win against Arizona. When I got to campus, it just felt like a win. Yeah. And we got close. So hopefully this time, man, we can continue to build off of this performance. It's another week being being coached by Pat Shurmur, having that offensive line coached by Pat Shurmur, having the scheme installed by Pat Shurmur. Maybe Pat Shurmur should have just been a college football coach this whole time. Maybe that's what it's been. Because again, I gave him like a B grade. I thought he called a good game this past weekend, and it was nice to see Hank Zielinskis, 91 in there, one of our extra offensive linemen, running some of those 6 offensive line sets, seeing Shador under center a little bit. Yep. It was nice to see some new looks from the offense.
Yeah, it really was. The only knock I'll say with Shurmur is that 31 play call was at midfield when we went on the center and we tried to.
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I hated that.
I hated that too. I hated that play call. I really, really did. It was almost something similar to what Arizona had did earlier in the game. They did a similar play. They had a similar play call earlier in the game in a similar situation, and it was almost like, okay, let's try to replicate that. It worked, and I just didn't like it. But other than that, I'm right there with you. I give a B+ for sure. He dialed up a really, really good game plan, and it was working for sure.
Man, yeah. Now I'm hoping, man, that we get an A grade called
Yeah,
from the offensive and defensive coaching staff this game. This is going to be a fun game to watch because
for sure.
Cam Ward, he's an awesome quarterback. He's great. Obviously, doesn't have the wins right now, just like Shador doesn't have a ton of wins. We're both 4-win teams right now, but this is going to be a great quarterback duel. But I think we got the better one. I think we got the better one, which should give us the edge, I think, in this matchup.
I'm right there with you. I think we got the better overall team, and of course, we're going on the road. It's gonna be a Friday night. It's probably gonna be cold. I'm almost for certain it's gonna be cold. But at the end of the day, man, I feel like if this team shows up, we only beat ourselves. So I mean, they played with Arizona, and I believe Washington State lost to Arizona almost by like 40. So it's gonna depend on the type of team that they put on the field as well. If they don't play their best game, we could run them off the field. But the same thing. I mean, we could not play our best game either, and they could easily beat us by 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, as long as we go in there and we play our brand of football and we're disciplined, we're going to be fine and we'll win this football game.
No doubt. No doubt. Discipline. That is the key. Let's stay in our lanes. Let's hold the edge on the defensive line. Let's get after the passer a little bit. I wish that we just got a little bit more pressure on Fafita this past week, and hopefully that's something that we can see improve. But the good news, Bird, is that I think this game is winnable. Even if we don't play a complete game, which has kind of been the story of this team right now, playing a little bit inconsistent. Will this team turn the corner this week? Man, I sure hope so. But this game we do not have to play perfect football to come out and win this game, but it would be nice to see.
It would be. It really would be nice to see that, to see a dominant performance. That's what I really want to see from this team. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, I mean, this team is now Oregon. I know not to Washington State because they're a formidable opponent. But, I mean, this team is not Oregon, right? I mean, this team is not Utah. This team is not Washington. This team is not a team that you got to, like you said, you got to play a perfect ball game and may need some help to get a win. This is a team where you got the better athletes. You have the better quarterback. The offensive line holds up. I mean, you can really, really win this football game, by at least 2 scores if you go out here and play some good football. And like you said, it's going to come down to being disciplined. I mean, we can't have the penalties because I don't care who you're playing. If you're going to have double-digit penalties, I mean, you're going to cost yourself yardage. You're going to cost yourself momentum, possessions. It's going to be tough to win a ball game. I don't care if you're playing a Pop Warner team, right? So, I mean, we just got to be smart and we got to execute. That's all.
No doubt. No doubt. And I think, sometimes this can be a little bit of a work in progress. As a Broncos fan, we've seen this whole season too of just, hopefully, Bird, you're back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Drop for a second. But, with this, with like the Broncos, they're going through a rebuild as well. And it's taken them a while to find their identity, to find, discipline. They're still playing a little bit inconsistent. But you can kind of see now that they're starting to turn the corner and just being mentally resilient, tough, still battling through adversity, the ups and downs of a football game. And I was proud of CU for how they really battled this past weekend. Definitely if we're looking at other, Jason Whitlock and these guys just don't know anything about these previous teams,
Bro.
But it's like anytime, man, we would hit that first big play, that the other team would get on us, we would just fold. And to see this team fight, to see this team compete, even though it doesn't always show up with a huge difference on the scoreboard, it is still night and day the kind of product that we're watching this year. And it's only going to get better as we continue to play more games.
Without question. Yeah. Definitely going to improve. There's always room for improvement. But this team, like I've been telling some of my buddies, I just been telling people in general, this is the worst Coach Prime team you're going to see at Colorado. I promise you this will be the worst. It won't be another that's going to have a record this low. again. Like this is only going to be trending upwards from here.
No doubt. No doubt. And Damon's asking who's the favorite. I believe the line yesterday was -4.5
Yeah.
to Wazoo. I think
Mm.
giving them a little bit of that home field advantage. And they have let's see. They have a more impressive conference win, I guess. We're both 1-6 in the conference. They have their win over Oregon State.
Yep.
We have ours against Arizona State. So maybe that has something to do with it. But nonetheless, I think it will be a really entertaining game. I think it will be probably a pretty close game. But like you said, CU comes out there and they put it all together. They turn the corner this week. They play disciplined. This could be a matchup that we win in a convincing fashion, which would be great. We get to 5 wins, and then, man, when you're riding off the momentum of that, really anything can happen. I'll be drinking the black and gold Kool-Aid, man, or the gold Kool-Aid going into that matchup against Utah. Get to 6 wins, that would be absolutely huge.
That'd be amazing, especially to get the last 2 on the road. I mean, this win right here will be huge. This win right here will be huge. And like you said, it'll be all the momentum we need going into Utah. We need this momentum going into that Utah game, a game that we're going to have, right, in order for us to be bowl eligible.
Man, Jay Reed coming in here saying Nick Saban was 6-6 his first year at Bama. And that's right. He had a loss to Louisiana Lafayette that year. Guys, everything is moving the direction it needs to move in. I'm loving what I'm seeing from this team, but I do want to ask you, Bird, and it's okay if you don't know the answer to this,
Okay.
but I didn't follow things too closely at Jackson State. But like, how were those Tiger teams in terms of like their penalties and stuff like that throughout Coach Prime's tenure? I was not expecting this team to be, one of the least penalized teams coming into this season just because of the amount of turnover. But I did expect a little bit less.
Gotcha. Now, I will say I watched every Jackson State game. I'm not gonna lie, I watched the game. I will say the difference between the two. There were penalties, but the difference was the team that Jackson State had was so much more talented than the team that they played against that you could have those costly penalties and it didn't hurt you as much because your opponent was nowhere near at the talent level that Jackson State. Now, when you get to where the talent is even or somewhat better than you have to play clean football. You're not going to get away with having those penalties because you can't just out-talent these teams because some of these teams have more talent than you. So, at Jackson State, they kind of got away with it in a little bit. Not saying that they were like super undisciplined, but there were, penalties here and there that you would say, oh man, like it was just like why, right? But for the most part, like I said, they just had so much talent, so much more talent at Jackson State, and you could just see it from a size difference, from speed. I mean, the coaching staff, everything was better, right? So they were able to kind of get away with a little bit more. Can't do that here at the Power 5 level in the Pac-12.
Nah, no doubt. Yeah, I don't know, just because of how aggressive this team, I think, like, how they want to coach it. I don't know if I'll ever, or if we can ever expect them to be, again, one of the least penalized teams. But you're right. When there isn't a big talent advantage, that's when these penalties, man, really make a difference in a football game. I mean, you saw last night, my Broncos getting lucky as heck at the end of that game with Buffalo having 12 guys on the field. Imagine we've been through it. Just not being able to count, costing you a win.
Right.
Costing us against Stanford. But I think you will see us become more disciplined. But it's like the Broncos in 2015. Sorry, I'm always comparing to the Broncos right now, but that defense was amazing. They were also penalized like crazy because they were always, hitting guys after the play, personal fouls, roughing the passer, all that. But they had enough talent to, make up for that. And I think we'll see a talent jump, obviously, over this next year or so. And it's going to get better. It's funny when you get more wins, when you get more talent, all of a sudden you start looking a lot better, like a lot better of a coach, right?
For sure. Yeah, without question. I know I saw somebody just said right there, some of the penalties were, BS calls. I mean, it's a part of the game at the end of the day. It's going to be bad calls on both sides, but, hopefully we can clean those things up Because, like you say, you just want to see a clean football game. And I know coaches, they hate to see the dumb penalties. They hate to see the minimal mistakes. You'll live with, you'll live with some of the, some of the penalties where it's like, okay, you were playing super hard, playing super aggressive. That's the type of defense that we're preaching.
Yeah.
So you kind of live with some of those, but it's the mental ones. It's the false starts, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's those that just, like, it's like, come on, right? Lining up off sides on defense, lining up. It's the little stuff. Those are the ones that I can't, I can't agree with. The ones where you're flying around the football trying to make a play and you actually do this or do that and there's a penalty, I can live with it. But the mental ones, those are the ones I can't live with.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Well, Bird, always appreciative of your time. I know we got to wrap things up, but always good talking with you. And, let's make sure to connect again after we get, this 5th win this weekend. That's going to be a lot of fun. So let the people know what you got going on with your channel for the rest of this week as we get ready for the Friday night game against Wazoo.
For sure. Definitely going to keep being on the recruiting trail. We have some other players that I'm going to make some videos on here that we have a possibility of landing that are definitely interested in us. Of course, you can follow me on Bird's Eye View on YouTube, Baseball Driven on Twitter, Bird's Eye View 5 on Instagram. Shout out to my little brother. I know I was telling you about my little brother that played football.
Yes.
He got the Shrine Bowl invite, so he got the East West Shrine Bowl invite. He actually won Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. He was a CIAA Defensive Player of the Year. I actually just put his tape out. I released his tape out on my YouTube channel. So if you can take your time out, he's the best D2 cornerback in the country. There's no doubt in my mind. He's got a Shrine Bowl invite, so that speaks for itself. So definitely go check that out. Man, I appreciate you always, Dave, for having me on. It's always a pleasure, man.
Man, that's great. That's great. Yes, best of luck to your little brother, man. That's amazing. We need some more cornerbacks out here in Denver. So let's make it happen. But until next time, Bird's Eye View, keep grinding. Appreciate you as always. Thanks for the chat. Super lively this afternoon. Y'all be sure to hit that like on the way out, and on the replay, be sure to hit that like and let us know your thoughts in the comments as always. I will see you all later this afternoon for a film review with Rawhide Media, taking a look at Washington State, some film from last year with Cam Ward. That'll be fun. So until then, y'all, we'll see ya, and Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.